Picture a kitchen in 1955. One income, no freezer aisle full of ready meals, no delivery app, no $20 bag of groceries that somehow becomes 40 at the register. And yet in that kitchen, a woman fed a family of five, 3 meals a day every day and still put money in the tin under the sink. She was not a better cook than you. She did not have more time, and she certainly did not have more money. What she had was a set of habits so ordinary she never even called them habits. They were simply how a kitchen was run. And every one of them quietly kept money in her pocket. We did not lose those habits because they stopped working. We lost them because an entire industry got rich the moment we forgot them. Today, the average American household throws away nearly a third of the food it buys and pays for the privilege of doing it. So I am going to give them back to you. 25 kitchen habits a 1950s housewife never broke. Stay with me because habit number 13 is the hinge the whole kitchen turned on, and it is the one modern life trained you to break first. Here is the modern reality. We spend more on food than any generation in history, and waste more of it than any generation in history. We buy to throw away. The 1950s kitchen was built on the exact opposite idea. Nothing came in that did not have a purpose, and nothing left as garbage if it could still feed someone. Let me show you how, one habit at a time. Habit number 1. She planned the week before she ever picked up her purse. The meals for all 7 days were decided at the kitchen table, on paper before a single item was bought. A plan is a wall against the impulse buy, and the impulse buy is where the modern grocery bill quietly doubles. Habit number 2. She shopped with a list, and she did not stray from it. The list was the plan made portable. Everything on it had a reason to be there, and anything not on it had to argue its way into the cart. Most of what we overspend on is simply things we never decided to buy. Habit number 3. She bought what was in season because in season meant cheap and good at the same time. Strawberries in June, squash in October, never the other way around. The modern shopper pays a premium to eat summer fruit in January and calls it normal. Habit number 4. She bought the staples in bulk and cooked from them. Flour, beans, rice, oats, potatoes. A pantry built on cheap, dense staples can become 100 different meals, and none of them come in a box with a markup printed on the side. Habit number 5. She cooked from scratch because scratch was a fraction of the price. A box of pancake mix is flour, salt, and a little leavening, sold back to you at 4 times the cost of buying those things yourself. She knew that, so she kept the flour and skipped the box. Habit number 6. She baked her own bread. A loaf cost her pennies in flour, and an hour she was home anyway. We pay several dollars a loaf for bread full of names we cannot pronounce, and we tell ourselves we have no time in a century with more machines than any before it. Habit number 7. She made one good cut of meat stretch across the week. Sunday it was a roast. Monday it was sliced cold. Tuesday it was in a hash, and by Wednesday the bones were a pot of soup. Meat was the most expensive thing she bought, so meat was the thing she refused to waste. Habit number 8. She saved the bones and the scraps and turned them into stock. The carcass that we throw in the bin was the base of her soups, her gravies, and her sauces. She paid for that chicken once and got 3 uses out of it. We pay for it once and use a third of it. Habit number 9. She kept a tin of drippings by the stove. The fat from cooking was not waste, it was tomorrow's frying and seasoning. A pantry that renders and reuses its own fat does not keep buying oil by the bottle. Small, yes. But the small leaks are the ones that sink the budget. Habit number 10. She had a leftovers night, and she planned for it. Nothing edible went into the bin while it could still become a meal. A half bowl of vegetables, the end of the roast, the last of the rice, all of it reappeared, dressed up just enough to feel new. We scrape that same food into the trash and order something fresh. Habit number 11. She used every part of the vegetable. The carrot tops, the celery ends, the onion skins, the potato peelings, all of it went into the stock pot or the compost, never straight to waste. The modern kitchen throws away the cheapest, most nourishing parts of the plant without a second thought. Habit number 12. She measured her portions and cooked the right amount. She knew how much her family ate, and she made that much, not a heaping pot that ended up half in the bin. Cooking to the appetite, not to the pan, is the quietest saving there is. And before habit number 13, remember what I told you at the start. 13 is the hinge. Every habit so far has circled around it, and most people who try to run a frugal kitchen quit because they never master this one. Keep it in your mind. Habit number 13, the hinge. She wasted nothing. Not from poverty, from principle. In her kitchen, the question was never, is this trash? It was, what else can this become? The bread went stale and became crumbs and pudding. The jar emptied and became storage. The water from the boiled vegetables became the soup. Waste was not an accident she tolerated, it was a failure she refused. Break this one habit, and every other habit on this list slowly stops mattering, because a kitchen that wastes will always need to buy more to replace what it threw away. This is the habit the modern food industry needed you to lose, because every dollar it makes depends on you buying twice what you actually eat. Habit number 14. She kept the pantry organized so nothing was forgotten. Food pushed to the back of a shelf and found spoiled months later as money turned to garbage. She knew what she had, used the oldest first, and let nothing die in the dark. Habit number 15. She preserved the harvest. When tomatoes were cheap and plentiful, she canned them and ate summer prices all winter. Canning, pickling, jam, a cold cellar, these were not hobbies. They were how a family beat the price of January with the bounty of August. Habit number 16. She reused her jars and tins and never bought storage. The coffee can held the drippings, the jam jar held the beans, the tin held the flour. A kitchen that saves its own containers never spends a cent on the ones with a brand stamped on the lid. Habit number 17. She cooked more than one thing while the oven was hot. If the oven was on for a roast, the bread and the pudding went in beside it. Fuel cost money, so she never paid to heat an oven for a single dish. The modern kitchen runs an oven for 20 minutes for one tray and thinks nothing of it. Habit number 18. She made her own cleaning supplies from what was already in the kitchen. Vinegar, baking soda, salt, and a little soap cleaned the entire house. The cabinet full of expensive sprays we buy today is a cabinet she simply never needed. Habit number 19. She grew what she could on a windowsill or a back step. A few herbs, a tomato plant, a pot of green onions. Not a farm, just the small things that cost the most at the store and the least to grow. Every sprig she clipped was a sprig she did not buy. Habit number 20. She served water and milk at the table, not bought drinks. The endless sodas, juices, and bottled things that fill a modern cart were simply not part of the meal. She knew that what you drink can quietly cost as much as what you eat. Habit number 21. She stretched the expensive with the cheap. A pound of beef became a meatloaf with bread and egg, a pot of chili with beans, a casserole with rice. The costly ingredient flavored the meal, it did not have to fill it. That single trick fed twice as many people on the same money. Habit number 22. She bought tools that lasted and cared for them. One good cast iron pan, seasoned and kept, outlived a lifetime of cheap pans bought and thrown away. The thing that costs more once and never again is almost always cheaper than the thing that costs a little, over and over, forever. Habit number 23. She cooked in batches and her time went further. A big pot on Sunday was dinner that night and 3 more meals banked for the busy days. She did the work once and ate from it all week instead of starting from nothing tired every single evening. Habit number 24. She kept a running list of what the pantry was low on so she never paid the panic price. There was no last-minute dash to the corner store for the things she forgot, at twice the cost. She bought it deliberately, cheaply, in its turn. Panic is the most expensive way anyone has ever shopped. Habit number 25. She taught the children to cook and to respect what food cost. They learned at her elbow that a meal was made, not summoned, and that throwing food away was throwing money away. She was not just feeding a family. She was handing down the one skill that would keep them out of the trap the rest of us walk straight into. Let me show you what these 25 habits looked like in one real kitchen. Picture a woman we will call Dorothy, a factory man's wife in 1956, raising 4 children on 1 weekly wage. She never thought of herself as frugal. She would have been puzzled by the word. To her, this was simply how you ran a home with respect. On Sunday there was a chicken, and that chicken worked all week. Roasted the first night, sliced the second, folded into a hash the third, and on the fourth its bones were simmering into a soup that fed everyone again. The fat went into the tin by the stove. The stale heel of the bread became the crumbs on the next night's casserole. Her neighbors, on the very same wage, ate well on Monday and scraped by on Friday, throwing out on Thursday what they had overbought on Saturday. Dorothy did not. When prices rose, as they always did, her family barely felt it because there was no waste in her kitchen for inflation to feed on. She was not saving for anything dramatic. She was simply refusing to leak. And the steady refusal to leak, week after week, year after year, was the thing that let one ordinary paycheck do what 2 paychecks struggled to do now. When her daughter married, Dorothy gave her the cast iron pan she had cooked from for 30 years, and showed her one more time how to save the drippings. So that is the answer to the question in the title. Why are we paying thousands to forget these habits? Because every single one of them saved money by needing less, and an economy built on selling you more cannot afford for you to need less. The waste we call normal is not an accident. It is the business model. A third of the food in the average cart is bought to be thrown away, and the bill for that waste, year after year, runs into the thousands. You do not need a single new thing to start. You do not need an app, a subscription, or a special store. You need a plan before you shop, a refusal to waste, and the willingness to use what you already have. That is the whole secret, and it was never a secret at all. If this is the kind of forgotten wisdom you want more of, the real way our grandmothers ran a home, not the version the industry sells back to us, subscribe and stay with us. We are keeping these alive on purpose. And before you go, tell me one thing in the comments. What is the one kitchen habit from your mother or grandmother that you still do today? The one that seemed old-fashioned once and makes complete sense now? Maybe it was the bacon grease tin. Maybe it was Sunday soup from the bones. Tell me. Someone reading needs to be reminded